Now, pay attention. The president of the country was saying something at the time, and then it became a skit. He was saying something like Agbado, cassava, and Gary. One of the things you must pay attention to is, out of every dream God shows a king. Why will God show the king? Because he assumes a place of influence. And so he needed an interpreter. This is where the church will now come in. Although the president said something that looked very funny, this is where the church would come. Out of the multitude of the dreams of a man is what he says. You must begin to pay attention. Many of the things the president will be saying now, it can look very funny. The Lord is saying the church should pay attention and maximize what he would say, because the key to your rising is lying in that place. This is the dream God has communicated to the king. Although he does not have an interpretation of what he's saying, he will just say it. But because there is no interpreter, this is where the church will now begin to bring perspective. Beyond the joke, there is a truth in the dream of the king. And so he said we would invest in Agbado, and he was saying we would need to start investing in agriculture. It can look as though there is darkness in Nigeria. It is in the darkness in Nigeria light would come from. It is funny how Christians don't know, because God has modeled darkness. Even in Genesis chapter 1, God did not take away darkness. What the Bible said was he separated darkness from light, so that darkness can be an example. Men can look into darkness and see how light can find expression out of darkness. So out of the things you think government officials have been saying that is looking, you're like, what is this that this man is saying? God is saying, find a word, find light, even in that thing. Men who don't pay attention to the message of the king would enter into 7 years of famine, and it will look as though, God, are you not answering Nigeria? Now, we must pay attention to our Greek in a time like this, because I saw for the first 6 months there would be an alteration in climate. And I saw particularly the month of February, the Lord began to show me, and I saw the month of February is a month of harvest and planting. For everything you have been venturing into legally, in the month of February, I began to see an harvest. Even in that same month of February, I now began to see that when God begins to cause harvest in the land, God is still saying plant. Many persons would harvest everything they have and they will eat everything at once. God is saying we should invest more in the year 2024. If Nigeria can adopt the model of oil plantation, and I saw that there would be a massive harvest. If you would prosper in a time like this, one of the things you can invest in, you should invest in, is agriculture. To nations, God is saying it is a year of healings to nation. I'm seeing the country Canada. I don't know anything about their economy, but what I'm seeing is that their economy has suffered so much of loss over time. In the month that we just concluded, I saw that the economy has suffered so much loss. And God is saying it is a month of healings for the country Canada. By extension, the country Ghana. I'm seeing the country Ghana before my sight. And the Lord is saying there would be, I don't know when their next election is. I'm not too conversant with many of these happenings in these countries. But what I'm seeing is what I'm saying. I'm seeing their next election. I'm seeing it very close. I don't know if it's 1 year now. 1 year from now, I'm seeing an election taking place in Ghana, and it would be a very serious one, because I'm seeing something like incumbent. I'm seeing those who have served before coming up again to say they want to serve. And I'm seeing the destiny of Ghana in the hand of a young man. And this is the person God has ordained for Ghana. Now, if you are a Ghanaian following this broadcast, this message is for you. You need to pray so much for your country, because what I saw in the countries is that there will be a fight, and if you don't pay attention to the voice of the people, I'm seeing a postponement in the election, because it will not be resolved. It will not be resolved that they can have the election. And so you need to pay attention to the voice of the people to know what God is saying for Ghana. We need to pray and ask God, who do you want? The person that will seem as though this is who people want is not who God wants. This is why you need to pay attention, or else the country of Ghana would be desolate and people will not be able to live therein. That the labor of men of God over their land will not be in vain. The economy of Ghana is dependent on the election that will be held next. And I'm saying this election is not far from now.